Hey guys, welcome back to Natural Kayak Fishing. Thanks for tuning in. Happy New Year and welcome to 2023. We're gonna get this year started off right, and I'm gonna do a video about safety. Safety first. I want everyone to have an enjoyable time on the water this year and basically make it home safe to their families, so I thought I'd go over my boat and show everybody what I do to stay safe on the water. Some of you may know that I'm a family man and I do take small children out on the water on their kayaks. And so if you're like me and you like to take your family out on the water, these are some things that might help you stay safe and more comfortable and feel secure out there so you guys can have maximum enjoyment. I have a new sponsor this year, R&R Health Centers. It's going to be a new naturopathic clinic opening up in Peoria. They're developing their location and a website currently, and as soon as I have details on that, I look forward to sharing that with you guys. I also want to mention that this year, a friend of mine, Pat Hanning, and myself have joined together to create the AZ Bass Nation Kayak Club. It's a club inside the Bass Nation organization, and we're going to be hosting some qualifying tournaments this year. You can find details on that on our Facebook page, which is AZ Bass Nation Kayak. We're going to basically host these qualifiers so we could send a percentage of our anglers to the Bassmaster Kayak Series Championship, which does take place right alongside the Bassmaster Classic. So I'm really excited about that. I know there's some other guys that I fish with that are really excited about that. I'm gonna be trying really hard to qualify, so if you do sign up, look out, I'm gunning. I also want to talk about the KAA, the Kayak Anglers Association. I'm also gonna be fishing their tournament series this year, all their qualifiers. But they've also expanded and diversified their tournament opportunity. They're gonna be running MLF style events, team events. They actually already had their first team event of the year. It went great. There's gonna be a couple night events. Anyway, they have a really packed season. It's a lot of fun. Also, feel free to reach out to anyone that you see in our community that's fishing tournaments. We are all more than happy and welcome any questions that you have about the situation. I also would like to give a huge shout out and huge thank you to Bridgeford Foods. They've very recently showed a lot of support, and I'm really thankful for that. So if you guys haven't tried their beef jerky, it's absolutely delicious, so go check that out. All right, well, let's get into today's video. Okay, well, I'm sitting in front of my boat here and I have everything splayed out to make it easier to show you everything I've done for safety. So the first two things are kind of obvious. I, at all times in my front hatch, carry two PFDs. The first is a more comfortable leisure PFD, which is an inflatable style. The second is the one that I primarily wear during tournaments, and it's a padded style PFD, and it has a few more pockets and places to put necessary accessories, one of which is a fixed blade knife in case, God forbid, I'm in a situation where I need to cut loose from my PFD. And the second is a whistle, which is required on your PFD to fish in most tournaments. The second thing I have on my boat that is in my front hatch at all times is a dry bag. And in this dry bag, I have a dry pair of clothes. For obvious reasons, if you end up going overboard and, well, you don't want to get cold, depending on the temperature, you want to have a dry pair of clothes. So these three things are always in my front hatch at all times. Okay, moving towards the center of the boat. In my front hatch here, in my center hatch, these are some of the things that are always in there at all times. 2 waterproof first aid kits. This is very important that it's waterproof. This little case, I think I got it at Big 5, and it comes with anything you need already to heal a wound. But I've added a couple things in here that are fishing specific. There's about 24 inches of 50-pound braid in each of these little waterproof kits, and that is in case I get a hook stuck in my hand. I'm sure all of you have heard of the braid technique in removing a hook, so it's very important. You could always, hopefully find someone else on the water that knows that technique, and it's much easier with 2 people, but you can do it yourself. There's also some super glue in here. I don't know, some guys like myself will just super glue a cut if it's kind of superficial. Anyway, 2 first aid kits with bandages, gauze pads, waterproof tape, band-aids. Those are some of the things that are in both of those. Next, I have an air horn. Okay, this is extremely loud. I mean extremely loud. I want to say, yeah, it's a marine/sport air horn. It's really, really loud. You never know when you need to alert someone to your presence. With that, I also keep a spotlight flashlight. I got this at Harbor Freight. It's extremely bright and it shines a beam of light. If you're out there launching early morning or fishing at night, very important to have. Along with that, I always also keep a headlamp. This headlamp also has spotlight ability. It's really important to be able to see where shore is when you're out there at night, launching in the morning or coming in the evening. And also it's important that other people see you out there as well. In my center hatch, some of the other safety related things that are always in there are a pair of warm gloves. These are actually fishing gloves, so you can still get your fingers out, but you gotta keep your hands warm. You know, the weather can change at any moment. Let me talk about that a little later. And an extra pair of sunglasses, because the sun reflecting off the water can be very bright and having your vision is important. It's required for tournaments, but it's also a good idea if you're launching in the dark or at night. I have a 360-degree light pole, and I do just stick it in the rod holder there, but as you can see, what I'm about to get into in a minute is it is tied to the boat. It is not going away. It's not coming off. So that's important. Okay, leashing is an important factor when it comes to kayaking. So now I'm about to show you how many things I have leashed to my boat. Starting with my net is leashed to my boat. Okay, leashed right here. My 360 drive is leashed to my boat. Right there. It's not going anywhere. My catch board, necessary for logging your fish in a tournament, is leashed to my boat. Right there. It is not going anywhere. I have a pair of fish grips that are leashed to my boat. Right there. They're not going anywhere. I also keep 3 soft tackle bags. 1, 2, 3, and they're all leashed to my boat. Right there, with a carabiner. Okay? None of that stuff is gonna fall out of my boat if I go overboard. Along the lines of leashing, I also have straps over things that could possibly fall out. These are tackle bags or tackle boxes that are strapped into the holder there, so if I go upside down, those aren't coming out. And extremely important and often overlooked, I highly recommend that if you are in a boat like mine that has a pedal drive, or if you've affixed a motor to your boat, or you have other means of propulsion, you should still always bring a paddle. Okay, I always have my paddle, the whole paddle, both sides, easily accessible from right behind me, always strapped into the boat. So you never know when you're gonna need to, you just don't want to be stuck out there without a means of propulsion, and your paddle will never fail you as long as you have it. This year I upgraded to the Yak Attack Black Pack, but literally there was only one reason why I got this product, and that was for the ability to affix a ton of these rod holders here, because every single one of them comes with this really convenient leash that's on a bungee, and you could just hook this right around your rod. I just grabbed a trout rod we have, 2-piece, to stick it in here to demonstrate this isn't going anywhere. And on top of that, my crate itself is also strapped to the boat. So I also have a bungee here to strap my cart to the boat. Everything that goes in my boat is strapped down, except for one thing, which is my cooler, but my cooler floats. And well, let's face it, in an emergency, you're not really looking to have a food or drink situation. Now I'm going to talk about some tactics that I implement to ensure my safety on the water more than just the physical things that I demonstrated there. One of the things is that I always keep an eye out on the weather when I'm on the water. I don't know where you live, but here in Arizona, the weather can pick up and change extremely fast. We have a pretty gnarly monsoon season, and I know a lot of people think that it's desert out here, and it is, but we do experience pretty extreme all 4 seasons. That being said, the wind can pick up and a squall can come in and literally turn the lake into havoc real quick. But a lot of times, if you're paying attention to the weather, you can pretty much avoid being caught in gnarly situations like that. 2 years ago, there was a gnarly storm out on Roosevelt Lake. A lot of us were out there fishing a local tournament, and a gnarly monsoon came in, and me and my kids saw it coming. So we got off the water and pretty much avoided impending disaster, and there are several people that flipped their kayaks that afternoon, and it wasn't fun. It was, anyway, I think, it could be avoided if you pay attention to your surroundings. The other thing I want to talk about is don't overload your kayak. As you can see, I keep it kind of simple. I don't rock a motor. I don't carry a lot of tackle, but these days I've noticed that a lot of people starting to put like 2 motors on their boat and carry with them every single thing they could possibly think that they need, which I get and I'm not against, but at some point I think people need to start considering their safety on the water. So that's one of the reasons I try to do it kind of naturally, instinctively, my method, and keeping it simple and light to maintain safety. And just tactical application there. That being said, one of the things I think about often is that I'm on a kayak and I'm not afraid to get wet. I'm not afraid to go in the water. I'm not afraid to have a wave splash me. So that changes things, because if you're worried about getting wet, you might react adversely to the situation in front of you when you're on the water and, I don't know, lean one way and react and then cause your boat to tip because you threw your weight in one direction that really wasn't the direction you should throw it when this little wake was coming, because there's wakeboarders and other boats out on the water. Even if it's a calm day, you might experience something that could possibly tip your boat. So one of the things I think about is if I'm in a situation where I'm leaning too far and I think my boat might tip, I'm prepared to just jump in the water. I will jump out of my boat. I'm not gonna try and flip my boat, because if you're in the water and you don't wanna be, you wanna get back in your kayak. And the worst thing that could possibly happen to you is if your stuff is not strapped down, your kayak is upside down, and you're worried about trying to get your kayak flipped over, watching all your hundreds of dollars of kayak stuff and fishing tackle sink to the bottom of the lake. I'm telling you, it's not too bad to get wet. Jump in the water, just jump ship. Your kayak will be floating there. Your kayak's fine without you in it. Then you have the opportunity to get back in your kayak, and if you have your dry bag full of dry clothes, pedal or paddle to shore, change your clothes, and hopefully you'll be okay. And if you have your PFD on, you got nothing to worry about. And I get it, a lot of guys do wear the inflatable PFD, but safe than sorry. I'd rather be safe than sorry. That's pretty much the name of the game. And I also try to roll with the mindset that it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. Obviously, I'm not a safety expert. These are just the things that I thought of doing to take care of myself. And I'm sure you've thought of things to take care of yourself. So if there's something I didn't mention and you think it's important, please leave it in the comments. And I hope everybody got something out of this. And I'm looking forward to everybody having a really safe and fun time on the water this year in 2023. If you like this video, please hit the like button. If you like my channel, please subscribe. It helps out a lot. And I'll see you on the water.